Is it humane to wear leather shoes? Dress up your dog? As humane educators, Detroit Zoological Society staff are often asked questions like these ones. In this virtual Vitamin Z special episode, we won't answer them, but we will share a conceptual tool you could use to answer them for yourself. Let's focus on the first question. Is it humane to wear leather shoes? A conceptual tool you could use to answer this question for yourself is ethical theories, or frameworks for making decisions about the goodness of an action. One ethical theory is consequentialism. According to this theory, an action is good to the extent that it does good for those beings it affects. The more good it does, the better it is. Now that we've learned about consequentialism, let's apply it to the question. Since an action is good to the extent that it does good for those beings it affects, we need to determine what beings are affected and how they are affected. To determine what beings an action affects, it is helpful to think about three categories of beings: people, animals, and nature. For people, one being that wearing leather shoes could affect is the worker who made the shoes. For animals, one being the action could affect is the cow from whose skin the shoes were made. And for nature, one being it could affect is the ecosystem in which the person who wears the shoes lives. To determine how much good an action does for each being, it is helpful to think of a three-part scale from more harm to neutral to more good. For the worker, how much good wearing leather shoes does is difficult to determine. Without knowing more about the working conditions and compensation, let's say neutral. For the cow, how much good the action does is easier to determine. The shoes are made from their skin, so let's say more harm. For the ecosystem, how much good the action does is complicated. Raising cows to make leather contributes to climate change, but leather is often a byproduct of the beef industry. Therefore, let's say neutral. To make things more interesting, let's apply consequentialism to an alternate action, wearing synthetic leather shoes. For the worker, we still don't know their working conditions or compensation, so let's say neutral again. For the cow, synthetic leather is not made from cow skin, but rather plastic, so let's say neutral. And for the ecosystem, making plastic contributes to climate change, and synthetic leather shoes may need to be replaced frequently. Therefore, let's say more harm. By putting these two actions side by side, we can see that according to consequentialism, there isn't a simple answer to the question, is it humane to wear leather shoes? Wearing leather shoes does some harm, but wearing synthetic leather shoes also does some harm. That doesn't mean that using ethical theories is useless, though. On the contrary, as is the case with this question, they can help us recognize that the world is a complex place and navigate its complexity by making informed decisions.